Welcome to Your Two Cents, where we tell you our opinion, then ask for yours. You may have heard that Facebook will now be reporting back to TV networks about how many interactions a show is getting on their social network. So, for example, they tell ABC that over the past week they saw 1 million interactions from 500,000 users about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, as you might recall, Twitter is also doing a similar thing, reporting uh, buzz about a TV show back to the networks. A question I think that's worth exploring is if maybe having social media report these metrics makes for better feedback than something like the Nielsen ratings, which has been in effect for, I don't know, hundreds of years at this point. Is it time we saw a change to how ratings are generated? What do you guys think? Lewis, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good idea. I think there's definitely some questionable things in there, such as the fact that Facebook said that, they're going to share private information as well. Granted, it'll be anonymously, but they didn't really go into detail as what they meant by private. Do they mean like IMs? Do they mean chat? Whatnot. But anyway, but besides that, I also think there's like a huge flaw in all of this. And the reason I say that is because do you guys remember back when, what was it, Sharknado? When
Yeah.
Sharknado aired and it
Yeah.
went crazy on Twitter. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Sharknado, Sharknado, Sharknado!" And
Right.
then like a couple of days later, they investigated and they found out that no one watched it.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
What?
they said people were tweeting about it. It was trending,
Mm.
hashtag this and everything. But when push came to shove, no one
Right.
was watching it.
Because it
So
was
they
just
were
a funny name to tweet about.
it was a funny name to tweet about, and everyone else was tweeting about it. Maybe they saw
Huh.
2 minutes of it and then changed the channel just so that they could
Wow.
tweet like, "Hey, I watched Sharknado." But at the end of the day, that metric was horrible because no one watched it. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen now with Facebook.
I feel kind of tricked because of all the talk about Sharknado, it made me sit down and actually watch all 2 hours of it.
Right,
So you mean
right.
I was the only chump watching this show? You
Well,
know?
so that leads me to believe. Do you think that there is this? Well, I'll go with a conspiracy theory
Yes.
that the TV stations are hiring people
Mm.
to go out and seed tweets and Facebook posts.
Well, I mean, if more weight is given to Facebook and Twitter for ratings, I could see that that would certainly be something that they would try and do to game the system. And that's just it with social media. Like that's where I feel like maybe this isn't the best thing to start relying on for ratings because it can be so easily gamed. I mean, I didn't know that story, Lewis, and that's like the perfect example of
Right.
what could go wrong. Whereas Nielsen has survived because it's random. I mean, the boxes are just given out to random families. It would be weird if like a small show with a rabid like young social media type audience just doesn't shut up about it.
Right.
So we're
Right.
forced to like I don't know watch Dads or something for like 12 years. Just because people are vocal online. That's yeah, that
Right.
that certainly is a downside to it.
And it could go both ways because like, well, so this weekend was Breaking Bad, right? My
Right.
Facebook
No
feed.
spoilers.
No spoilers.
Okay.
I don't watch it anyway. But anyway, so my Facebook feed was going crazy, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad. And but at the same time, there are people like Breaking Bad, what is the show about? Never seen it. Breaking Bad, not watching it tonight. So it's kind of like, how do how would you account for those people that are
Yeah.
just kind of like, what's the word, piggybacking on the hashtag just for the
Mm.
sake of it and not actually watching it?
Oh
Well,
right.
here's
I
the
had
thing
Jello
about
today.
about.
Yeah. you know.
One of the things I read about Breaking Bad was they said that based on the Twitter interaction, that it was the second highest series finale of all time.
Wow.
They based it second only to The Sopranos.
Mm.
Like
I
it
think-
blew Dexter out of the water a couple weeks ago. I think it was like some crazy number, like
Wow.
500 million or something like that, people that watched it.
Yeah.
But going back to this whole thing of, well, how much of that, like you were talking about, Jeff, how much of that is just, oh, what's all this Breaking Bad
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
or that?
Yeah,
So,
do they have a way of filtering out if say I tweet like I hate Family Guy every day or every hour for a full week, does that still count towards the interactions?
right.
Are they doing any kind of filtering like that?
How would you filter that out unless you're doing it manually, which
I don't think you could.
I'm
Oh,
sure they
impossible.
have some kind of filter in there, right? Like I don't know, natural language. You can now speak to your computer, and it doesn't do what you ask it to, but you can speak to it at least, you know. So maybe
Well, this
they
is
could
sort of
filter
the
some of that
reverse
stuff.
of the Nielsen ratings, right? Because the Nielsen ratings is actually based on a box that connects to your TV and tracks your viewing
Actual
habits.
usage. Hmm.
So this is sort of the reverse of that, where if a billion people are tweeting about it, then they kind of have to figure out, okay, what's the percentage of people who are just tweeting it because it's fun to tweet about, or
Right.
that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting metric that I would like to see worked in somehow, but I think for now it's too easy to game and too hard to filter out negative interactions.
Right.
Although maybe networks are just thinking any interaction is a good interaction, even if people are saying, this show stinks, it's still someone talking about a show.
Right.
Might get someone
Yeah.
watching.
Well,
the show.
what do they say? They TV stations say for every one letter that they
Right.
receive, there's like 40 or 50 people that would have liked to have
Yeah.
written.
Yeah, but in this instance, they receive a letter and they don't know whether or not the person likes it or not, because
Right.
Facebook is just saying, "Oh, you got a letter," and they're not saying whether someone liked it or not.
Right.
Well, that's our 2 cents. What's yours? Should the TV rating system be changed? Tell us in the comments below. For DealNews.com, I'm Jeff Summergy, along with Luis Ramirez and Dan Ledbetter. Goodbye.